Every day, we're a little bit closer. Every day, we are closer to getting some real landing spots for these rookie wide receivers. Guys like Jackson Smith-Njigba, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers. And we can know, okay, yeah, they're going over to a Los Angeles Chargers roster that is in desperate need of some wide receiver help. They're going to be elite in fantasy. Or on the opposite end, well, crap. Maybe they just got sent to Chicago. Maybe all of a sudden this is a player that we really can't be drafting. What I want to do in this video is I want to go through and I want to look at our top 10 landing spots for rookie wide receivers in this year's draft class. These will not be the most likely landing spots, but this is just what we want to see. This is tonight, as I'm dreaming and as I'm trying to come up with the best situation possible for Jackson Smith-Njigba, what I'll be dreaming about. But before we get into it, you better be going down there. You better be dropping a like on this video. You better be subscribed if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. And of course, if you want access to our updated Dynasty rookie rankings, if you want a Dynasty rookie draft guide put out by Fantasy Stock Exchange shortly, you can find that on flockfantasy.com. With promo code FLOCK, you are going to get access to all of your favorite creators' Dynasty rankings. And on top of it, promo code FLOCK, 30% off any subscription, a 2-day free trial, and yours truly going through and breaking down your Dynasty team in a podcast. But that should be about it. Let's go ahead. Let's dive into this. Let's look at number 10 with the Indianapolis Colts. If we're looking at Indianapolis here, I'll be the first person to admit, yes, I mean, we don't know what their quarterback situation will be this next year. A lot of people are saying, okay, it's going to be Anthony Richardson. A lot of people are saying it's going to be Will Levis. There's an outside chance that, hell, maybe it is Gardner Minshew, which, of course, we're not wanting to see. And with Indianapolis, with the uncertainty, it's hard to have them any harder than 10, and I think you can actually make an argument for a couple different teams here. But what I do like about this situation is with the departure of Paris Campbell, even when they backfill with Isaiah McKenzie, this is still a team where it's going to be very easy for a rookie wide receiver to potentially go in and make an immediate impact early on. You're looking at a depth chart that has Michael Pittman Jr. as that top guy. Then you have Alec Pierce possibly as a field stretcher on the outside. Maybe Isaiah McKenzie can man the slot. Isaiah McKenzie's barely making $1 million this season. So in reality, he's probably not going to be anything. So I think you could see a wide receiver like Zay Flowers go to Indianapolis at the beginning of the second round and find a lot of success if the rookie quarterback that they select actually hits. If they take Will Levis and he is actually a good real life quarterback, which we don't know at this point, that's why they're down here at 10 and not at 1, then this could be a really good landing spot with an empty depth chart. Now, speaking of a team that you need to hit on a quarterback, but they have an empty depth chart as well, we're looking at the Carolina Panthers here. With Carolina, they trade up to get the #1 overall pick. They give up future assets to do so. So it's going to be difficult for the Carolina Panthers to go through and invest into really any wide receivers in 2024. And they're still going to be a little limited in 2025. I understand they put some band-aids on this wide receiver room over the past few weeks, over the past month or so, by adding in Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. And if you were looking at what was available in the free agent market, the best you could get was Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. But at the end of the day, Chark is on a 1-year deal. Adam Thielen is 33 years old. So these are not long-term options. They're not even great options this season. We can operate under the assumption that you have most likely Bryce Young going to Carolina. If it's not Bryce Young, it's probably going to be CJ Stroud. But regardless, you have a promising young quarterback that will be in need of a long-term answer at the wide receiver position. So Carolina, maybe at the beginning of the second round, this is a team that goes out there and grabs a Zay Flowers. Now, our next team, very similar. You're going to notice that all these teams are kind of in the same bucket at the very bottom here. We are going to have the Houston Texans. If they don't get Bryce Young, they will be getting CJ Stroud. They will most likely have a top-end rookie quarterback coming in at 2. And this is a team that also has pick 12 from the Cleveland Browns. So this is a team that doesn't need to hope they get Zay Flowers falling to them at the beginning of the second. If they really wanted to, they can go get Jackson Smith-Njigba. They can go get Quentin Johnston. They can go get Jordan Addison at pick 12 if they fall in love with any of those wide receiver prospects. Not only are you going to have that young quarterback that coming in, but one of the reasons that I have Houston over Carolina as a landing spot is the Houston Texans, they don't have the Adam Thielen DJ chart for 2023. Their best guy on this roster, at least on paper, is actually Robert Woods. Now, of course, John Mechie may turn out to be something, and of course, you know I am rooting for John Mechie. I even liked the man coming out of Alabama, and with this story, you have to be rooting for the guy, but it's hard to imagine that he is anything guaranteed at this point. So I think if you were to get Quentin Johnston, say at 12, then he's immediately the wide receiver 1 in Houston with a young and promising quarterback. But let's go up a tier in reality. I mean, I think honestly, we can maybe make this a pseudo tier list here where we are going to have the Seattle Seahawks at 7. The reason Seattle's going to be ahead is this is just a significantly better offense, right? Not only is this a significantly better offense, but what you have loved to see in fantasy for the Seattle Seahawks over the past few seasons is this is a team that does not spread around the ball. They get it to their 2 main guys. They're not going out there with a ton of 4 wide receiver sets where you're seeing Dwayne Eskridge come away with 100 targets in a season. It's not happening. It's being funneled through DK Metcalf, through Tyler Lockett, both of whom should be quality options in 2023. This landing spot's more so going to be that long-term play. If the Seattle Seahawks were to want to go through and say, take Jordan Addison at 17, for example, while yeah, you're maybe not going to get top-end production immediately in Seattle, in the long term, I think operating alongside DK Metcalf could be a phenomenal landing spot for a wide receiver like Jordan Addison, a wide receiver like Jackson Smith-Njigba, especially if you don't have to worry about a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, siphoning away target share from those top options. Now, at 6, inside the same tier is going to be Green Bay. If we are looking at the Packers, obviously in years past, they would be higher on this list. But the issue is Aaron Rodgers most likely is not a Green Bay Packer this next season. While Jordan Love does have some upside, it's still hard to know exactly what you are going to see with Love. Now, what's working in the favor of the Green Bay Packers is they only have 2 wide receivers this upcoming season making $1 million or more. Same thing with the Seattle Seahawks. You only had 3 wide receivers making $1 million or more. But in Green Bay, those guys are Christian Watson as well as Romeo Doubs. So if you're looking for a potential fit here in Green Bay, I know a lot of people have been talking about it as of late, and the reason is it makes so much sense. If you want to have Christian Watson as the elite level athlete, the big wide receiver operating on the outside, and then bring in Jackson Smith-Njigba at 15 to operate underneath, this could be a phenomenal situation. I mean, you're really just banking on Jordan Love being a good quarterback here in Green Bay, which of course is uncertain. But we're going to stay inside the same division. We're going to stay inside the same tier as well. We will be looking at the Minnesota Vikings. And with Minnesota, we all know they have Justin Jefferson. Yes, they have the #1 wide receiver in the entire NFL. But beyond that, the only other wide receivers making more than $1 million a year, you have a 26-year-old KJ Osborne, probably not going to be anything. You have Jalen Reagor, nothing. You have Brandon Powell, nothing. This is a team that the wide receiver 2 hole is massive with the departure of Adam Thielen. This is a team where we've seen a ton of passing volume be there before, and very similar to the Seattle Seahawks because they concentrate their target share, and I'm not worried about a wide receiver 4 coming out here and siphoning away 4 or 5 targets a game. I think that you will get more than enough passing production to go around to be funneled both through Justin Jefferson and another wide receiver. I mean, if you have Jordan Addison, if you have Quentin Johnston, if you have Jackson Smith-Njigba falling to 23, I think this could be a good landing spot for pretty much any of these guys. And yeah, I'd be excited about it. Now, going over to 4, the New York Giants have added a decent amount of bodies to this wide receiver room, right? You have Paris Campbell now making $5 million this next year. You have Darius Slayton at $4 million. You have Wan'Dale Robinson coming off a significant knee injury. I love Wan'Dale Robinson, the prospect. You have Jeff Smith. You have Sterling Shepard with his own knee injury. You have Jamison Crowder and Colin Johnson, hook 'em horns. So really, you have a ton of players making $1 million or more this next season, but nobody we can be that excited about. Yes, they go out there and they get Darren Waller as well. So they backfill a ton of depth. They add in a top tight end option. But at the end of the day, if the #1 wide receiver on your depth chart is currently Paris Campbell, it doesn't really matter the moves that you made this offseason. You still have a massive hole at that wide receiver slot. Now, the issue is if you're the Giants at pick 25, you don't necessarily know if you're going to be able to get one of those top 3 guys. I mean, you don't even know if you're going to be able to get Zay Flowers either. So you don't know if they can get a good prospect falling to them, but if they have someone that they like making it there, you have to imagine that they would love to take him. I think that player could immediately step into opportunity in what appears to be a vastly improved offense with the new coaching staff, as well as Daniel Jones taking step forwards. And we know he's going to be there the next few seasons with this contract extension. Now, this is where we get to dream scenario, right? This is where we are getting that massive tier jump up. We are going to go with the Buffalo Bills, number 3 here. They have pick 27 in this year's NFL draft. And with Buffalo, very similar situation to what I would say as the Minnesota Vikings. With Buffalo, yes, you have the solidified alpha wide receiver. You have Stephon Diggs. Now, the difference between Stephon Diggs and what you're going to be operating with in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson is Stephon Diggs is 30. Justin Jefferson is going into year 4. So there's a massive difference in terms of the long-term outlook with those individual players. And I would also say that Josh Allen is a significantly better quarterback than what you would have with a player like Kirk Cousins. But outside of that, it kind of does look very similar between the two situations. And then you have that alpha, and then beyond there, you really don't have much else. You have Gabriel Davis, which this year in underdog drafts at his current ADP, I honestly can see him working out. I could see Gabe Davis being a wide receiver that gives you that field stretching ability, that stretches NFL defenses, comes up with big plays, and makes the overall offense more efficient in general. But Gabriel Davis isn't going to be a guy that commands a lot of volume. We knew this last year. And if we're going to be looking at the potential for a different wide receiver to come in, play alongside Stephon Diggs, I think that would be great. Clearly, this is a Bills team that wants to do everything they can to get 4 wide receivers in the field every single down. And if you're rolling into the season with the only guys making $1 million or more being Stephon Diggs, Deontay Hardy, which I understand people are getting excited about because the situation's so good, but come on, who are we kidding? Gabriel Davis, Trent Sherfield, and Desmond Patman. I would really like to see a wide receiver go to Buffalo. I don't know how likely it is, though. Now, going over to our next spot, not only is this a dream situation, but it is also a very likely situation that a wide receiver goes here. The Los Angeles Chargers at 21 are in desperate need of a long-term answer at the wide receiver position. If we are looking at Mike Williams, if you are looking at Keenan Allen, both of these guys are older. I mean, this next season, you're going to have Keenan Allen playing at 31 years old. You're going to have Mike Williams playing at 29 years old. And if we look under the hood with these contracts going into 2024, there's almost no way in hell. There's a 0% chance that both of these wide receivers are still on this team outside of if they decide to go through and have a restructuring moment. Because if we're looking at this, Mike Williams has a $32 million cap hit. $32 million cap hit in 2024. 12 of that is guaranteed. So they could look to save $20 million. That's a lot of moolah for moving on from a 30-year-old Mike Williams in 2024. If we were going over to Keenan Allen has a $34 million cap hit in 2024. $11 million of that is guaranteed. So the Los Angeles Chargers could look to save $23 million for moving on from a 32-year-old Keenan Allen next season. Do we think that the Chargers are likely to spend a combined almost $70 million between 30-year-old Mike Williams and 32-year-old Keenan Allen in 2024? No, they're not doing it. There's no way in hell they can do that. They can maybe restructure. That is obviously a possibility. But what is more likely than not is one of these wide receivers will be let go. If not, maybe one let go and one restructures next offseason. There's no way they can hold on to them with this price tag. So if we're looking at the Los Angeles Chargers, you have an aging wide receiver core. Nothing really behind. You can't be too excited about Joshua Palmer with an elite level quarterback. Picking at 21, you're going to have the option to go out there and get Quentin Johnston, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Jordan Addison, or Zay Flowers. I don't know who will be left, but I'm very confident that one of those guys will be. And this is what you're wanting to see for those players. You're wanting to see them go to the Los Angeles Chargers at pick 21. Now, I don't even want to include this team here at 1 because it is such a no-brainer that it feels like you're kind of cheating here. The Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, they're picking at 31 with Kansas City. We say this every single season. how desperate they are to get that top end production at the wide receiver position. They heavily leaned on Travis Kelce this past season, but what is so funny is if you're looking at wide receivers that are making $1 million or more this next year in Kansas City, you have Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who's 29 years old and just did nothing this past year. You have Kadarius Toney, who probably will miss more games this next season than he plays. You have Sky Moore, who did nothing in his rookie season where they desperately needed a wide receiver, and you had Patrick Mahomes. So you have arguably one of the worst, if not the worst, wide receiver cores in the entire NFL in Kansas City. You have the best quarterback in the NFL in Kansas City. You have a first-round pick. Of course, it's the last first-round pick, so we don't know if anybody's going to fall to you. But, I mean, I really think it's a possibility that the Kansas City Chiefs go out there and they try to make a play for a wide receiver because it would just make so much sense, and I would love it. So I'm gonna be emailing my local Kansas City Chiefs representative every single day to make sure that they do everything in their power to go and get someone. But I think that's all we have for you. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, please go down there, drop a like on it, subscribe if you play Dynasty, and if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, I can almost guarantee you're going to love flockfantasy.com. Go check it out. Go get my Dynasty research book. Go get the Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide Fantasy Stock Exchange is putting out. Go get all of our Dynasty rankings. Promo code FLOCK. You'll get 30% off any package. Also, promo code FLOCK. You are going to get a podcast breaking down your Dynasty team by yours truly with the Mother Flocker package. But thank you again. I really appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day and really hope we get to see you with the video tomorrow.